Friends, it's my pleasure today to introduce my special guest who has been a wonderful ecosystem player supporting the engineering R&D in the tech ecosystem for India to emerge as a successful innovation destination in the world. He had a very lucrative career globally, but felt innovation is important and perhaps India can make a mark in innovation. He relocated to India to make this dream happen. My pleasure to invite Prakash Bodla on the studio today to talk to us as to how things are shaping up. Welcome, Prakash.
Thanks a lot, KSV. Glad to be here.
Yeah, Prakash, just to set the ball rolling, the India is doing very well in the tech eco space to be a value partner for the global organization. And even if I had to give some data, perhaps there are close about 1,600 global capability centers doing it, and about a handful of them, at 11-12% of them, have reached that stage where they are able to influence the parent headquarters. I want your opinion as to what are the things we should be doing correct to earn the trust of your parent headquarters. Parent headquarters is the wrong word. Earn the trust for the global enterprise to get more and more innovation roles and more capabilities developed from India for the enterprises.
Fantastic question, KSV, and this is something really close to my heart as it relates to the innovation. Couple of things I would say. You are absolutely right that there are only like 10 to 15% of the GCCs, which is about 1,600, 1,700 of the GCCs in India, primarily multinational companies operating here, who have actually matured. And there are few reasons as to why they might have actually matured. And the reasons are either they have been established quite some time ago, that could be like 10 years, 15 years ago, as compared to some GCC that is just starting anew. Second is they could be actually, or they could be in a disruptive space where they really want to innovate. Innovation is their bread and butter, and without the innovation, they could be totally taken off guard, and they could be actually like, the business could be shut down. So innovation is their lifeline, and they have to do that one. The third is the talent pool availability in India. I mean, from a demographic perspective, our Prime Minister Modi talks about the demographic dividend. We have the highest working population. We have the maximum number of engineers in the STEM area, which is very, very appropriate for most of the GCCs to do this kind of an innovation. Not just doing the innovation, but doing the innovation at a low cost, faster to fail, faster to succeed. The last point is that India is also a very fertile ground for most of this innovation to take place. Imagine if a particular product can be innovative and be successful in India, there is a very high likelihood that this product will be successful globally. So doing that in the region with the local people at a low cost, at a speed that none of the other places or other countries or other talent pool will be in a position to do it. These are some of the macroeconomic factors that are actually really influencing on a positive side how to do that innovation. But in order for that to actually happen, there are some fundamental things that are also required within the organization. One, you need to have a top-down support from the parent organization. That could be the board of directors, that could be the ELT, the executive leadership team, or the CTO, CIO, CDO, whatever kind of the operations that you are running in the GCCs. And please, I also want to stand corrected here. That I'm talking about innovation does not mean that you are creating a new iPhone kind of a product that is totally disruptive. You're not creating a new internet. You're not creating a totally like a chat GPT. Innovation could be a big innovation. Innovation could be a micro innovation. It could be extremely at a small, and we call that as a micro innovation, nano innovation, because everything that is actually disrupting the way you had been operating and increasing the productivity or whatever is still contributing towards the innovation. So once you have the top-down kind of a support on this innovation, the second is treat them as the pitcher, right? The global leadership is pitching to say that, hey, I want you to be innovative. I want you to disrupt you. I want you to help us. How to do that? Now, there needs to be a catcher on the GCC side as well. The catcher should be as strong as the pitcher. Because if the catcher which is the center head or the technology head in India is unable to catch that ball, the ball actually gets dropped, right? I mean, we are in the cricket season. So once the bowler bowls, if the wicketkeeper is unable to catch, it's a 4 runs. It's a simple 4 runs, right? We can't afford those things. So the wicket keeper should be as strong as the bowler in itself. And the bowlers are changing. Just like the corporate direction is changing, board members are changing, the directions is changing because of the competition or because of the change in the CEO or the leadership. The wicket keeper should know how to catch the ball for the spinner, how to catch the ball for the fast bowler. So I think that is how it needs to be. And there is a lot of onus and the responsibility on the India leadership who is running the GCC. So it is not.
It's a good point you're making, Prakash. Very good point you made. But just, often I hear this conversation for many of the large enterprises, both German, European, and the US enterprises, they have not looked at India as a market. Our engineers and leaders sitting 10,000 miles away don't have a view to the market, distance away from the market. How difficult or easy is to convince that side that we can still innovate, convince the side this is what perhaps the consumer require, getting the user experience put together. How do we do that? You yourself has gone through multiple such dimensions in your career. How do you do that?
So few things. I mean, on behalf of the AMCHAM, American Chamber of Commerce on the GCC Council, what I've seen some of the best practices is that having the leaders actually be here on the ground is the first step. Because if the leaders have not even come to India or not actually spent considerable amount of time in India, they would not really be in a position to really understand the landscape, what can actually be done. The second is most of the companies have been used to the service sector, right? There is a huge, big presence of the service sector. So some of the leaders could be thinking that, you know what, maybe the GCC is like a service sector. And if I ask them to innovate, will I still control the IP?
That is right.
Will I still own the IP? Will I still be in a position to actually make sure that the heart of my product continues to beat at 72, right, per minute? So I think those are the fundamental kind of, either you can call that as a myth, or you can actually call that as something that needs to be, once again, responsible for the GCC leader to actually make sure that that perception is gone and we are in a position to do. One another point is that just like a child, right? The parent wants to hold the child when the child is walking, and the father never wants to leave the hand of the child because he's worried, he or she is actually worried that the child can actually fall down. It is sometimes the responsibility of the child to say that, wiggle the hand out to say that I can walk, I'll fall, I'll get up, nothing is going to happen. I have a nice cushiony diaper, don't worry, right? So that is the kind of the relationship that we need to build. And once the parent actually gets to know that the child can stand and walk and crawl or run, they will be very happy because they have other fishes to fry. They have other issues to deal with. They don't want to keep holding the hand. Their job is to run the business. And any leader who can actually raise the hand and say that I can actually solve this problem, I can solve this problem of the customer, I can solve this problem of the market, the board is so much more happy to say that we have a fantastic leader. And those are the kind of the leadership roles that we need to have in India and make that innovation happen. And this is the right timing, ground, market, and at that inflection point where this is actually going to happen in India.
Fantastic. I completely echo that. I'm hearing the sentiment also. You talk in the last two questions around talent as a key driver. We had played the earlier days of our GCC evolution about the volume talent. Now we are wanting to create the value talent, the talent being the same. I'm curious to know, the ecosystem for talent is same for everyone, whether it's a service provider or a GCC, engineering R&D GCC, or innovative companies, etc., etc. What are the things that you think either the industry is doing, which you experience from AMCHAM experience? What are the things you are discovering perhaps should be done or is all being done to transform the talent that is coming from the academic ecosystem to be relevant for the industrial ecosystem?
Absolutely, KSP. I mean, one of the crown jewels that we have in India is the talent, right? And we cannot undermine the total talent availability, the total number of STEM students coming out of each of the state of India. And some of the reputed institutes like IITs and NITs and some of the private institutes like Birla Institute of Technology, etc. I think these are some fantastic institutes that we have in the educational ecosystem in India. What is really required is that this is more like the economy catches up with the reality, and the reality catches up with the economy, and these things continues to actually happen, right? Sometimes when the economists are predicting, they will say that probably we might be in a recession for the last 1 year. Duh, right? I mean, that's a tough call. So the educational institutes are also catching up with the kind of the trends that are happening in the industry, and the industry will actually kind of pivot around and will be in a position to accelerate with the availability of the talent. The industry leaders like all of us have actually a critical role to play. Of course, the government is involved, institutions are involved, the students and the capacity for them to learn is involved. The overall ecosystem to support this kind of requirements is also actually required. And each one of them will actually play a role. Like the government has to incentivize for the educational institutes to include the curriculum that is relevant for the industry, right? And they need to make it as a mandate. If it is not made as a mandate, then most of the institutes will actually be leaning towards whichever are the kind of the jobs that are available in the market, whether they are high end or low end. Their responsibility is for the students to graduate and get them a job, right? They're not really talking about how many institutes are really talking about. We have given 600 offers in this institute, but out of that 600, 400 are actually like pure R&D, right? None of the institutes actually claim that or can claim that. I really wish that we will actually get to that state where we'll say that 80% of the offers are like R&D jobs, cutting edge jobs, disruptive jobs, market changing kind of jobs, right? And the job need not be just in engineering, design, developer, architect, etc., but it could be a product manager, right?
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's a challenge there. Even from our industry perspective, well, just the way we're looking, academia is not talking about the kind of cutting edge job they're getting to. Industry also, for whatever reasons, have not gone and showcased the kind of work what they did. They still tell them, I want a computer science graduate, I want a Java specialist, Python specialist. Even they're not showcasing the kind of talent pool. Requirement is changing. What are your thoughts? What should be industry also be doing for that?
So a couple of things, and I could be little offbeat as compared to the typical answer you might actually hear, KSV, is that this is all, I mean, take one step back. Companies are actually trying to go to the institute to hire the best of the talent.
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's a simple thing. If the talent is actually available, then they have different things to do actually. So they are saying that the talent is anyway applying, and I don't need to take that extra step to continue to build that bridge and continue to talk to the institutes and brand myself, because they know me, and I mean, if I say that I am hiring 100 people, there are like 10,000 people raising their hands and trying to actually apply for the job. But what we need to really do is a different approach. What the companies needs to really do is create some kind of a collaboration with the universities to teach them what is really required for the industry. And that is, you can call that as a CSR activity, a corporate social responsibility activity, or giving back to the industry activity, or actually trying to educate and empower our engineers who are graduating to be the best professionals possible. And those professionals could be joining your company at the end, or could be joining your competition, right? Because if I'm partnering with the university and I'm actually trying to train them on a specific technology, my inherent requirement or motive is for me to hire them, because I have to spend the time, money, energy. But probably the industry can all come together to say that, hey, let's hold the hands. It doesn't matter whether this person, after my training, whether the person is going to be joining my company, but they're going to be joining, and overall the entire ecosystem is going to evolve. And I'll call this as an automotive auto car showroom dealers syndrome. Okay, I have a lot of syndromes.
Fantastic.
To the car showrooms, all the competing car showrooms are in the same street, same area, same mall, same location. They know that, you know, I could be losing a customer to the next door different car, but together, collectively, they all come together in one location, because once a customer comes there, one of those car dealers is going to win, and it's okay.
Fantastic. The good news, I think I echo what you're saying, Prakash. The good news is at nasscom, we have this future skills program team, which
Correct.
is building
Correct.
the skills. Because they've been talking to education department, the skills department. The good news there is now they are saying the AICTE is now telling all the engineering colleges, right? Your content and curriculum should be at least 60%, 70% readied and suggested by the industry. So you continue with the thing. So that movement has started. And I
Correct.
completely agree with you, as all of us as responsible ecosystem players have come together to come and play the role. And I'm particularly happy that you said that particularly between Prakash Bodla and Viswanathan, Prakash Bodla and nasscom, we've been engaging in the spirit of conversation for several years. Perhaps things will change. Things will change. This is one. You built upon another important aspect on ecosystem participation. What is your assessment? Is the ecosystem really co-creating solutions? And of course, notwithstanding what you said, that you'll co-create, there are a car showroom, it will get consumed by other competitors also the same room. How do we create that co-creation in the industry, which has been very successful in some of the advanced geographies like Germany and US? So what are your thoughts and elements? What should we be doing to co-create to India to emerge as that thoughtful innovation destination, which is currently our culture is me, my team, my purpose, my company. How do we get out of that?
And that's actually a truly KSV. It is a natural progression that's going to happen. We cannot, I mean, my take is that we cannot really force fit those things. I mean, to a certain extent, we might be in a position to do that, but it is going to be a natural progression as the companies actually evolve, innovate for the local markets, which actually then get transferred to the global markets. They will also realize that I myself will not be in a position, when I say I, on behalf of the company, will not be in a position to actually come out with a total product or a service offering end to end without the support of this other ecosystem players, right? And that will be a natural progression that will actually kind of emerge. Either that could be a startup, that could be a joint venture, and that could be two big companies trying to collaborate and solve the problem. I mean, take a look into the aerospace industry, right? Some of the biggest aerospace companies have come together to say, okay, I cannot build that new engine myself, the aeroplane engine, all by myself, because there is too much of investment or a technological challenges or the time to market. Let's come together. You solve this problem, I'll solve this problem. We'll come together and we'll create, and then we will share the profit, whatever, right? As long as it is legal, ethical, compliant, loss of the land, blah, 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 right? So that is going to actually eventually happen. And the companies, either globally or locally, are going to realize that they would not be in a position to do that. So this kind of an awakening, I would suggest that if the awakening actually happens from the leaders in India to begin with, as compared to somebody from the US trying to say that, hey, why don't you seriously take a look into the startup? The local leaders in the GCC, if they have that kind of a momentum, the spirit and the enthusiasm and that kind of innovative kind of zeal, they themselves will figure out saying that, hey, there are these 10 startup companies, maybe these 3 companies kind of makes relevant. Let's actually do in about as small as 1 lakh rupees, some proof of concept. If it works out, works out. Or else it's just $1,500, probably like 20 people going for a dinner will be that much, right?
Great point. And I completely agree. This conversation only makes me get into a larger resolution. Perhaps I'll loop you in also as my part of the ecosystem, make this happen. I agree with you, this journey. I'm just shifting gears, Prakash. Other thing which is worrisome to me is especially in the community that you and I serve, the engineering and R&D community, is the availability of women in tech. At an industry level, at a gross tech industry level, 36% of the total 5.4 million people working have got women as a gender. If we translate that to an engineering R&D industry, it drops to 20%. Forget at an entry level. I'm not even talking about as they go forward, etc. Two question, in your opinion, what should we do to attract more women into tech? A. B, why that is not happening? And C, what is the message you will give the young girls in college academic ecosystem wanting to pursue a career when they graduate to come and join our industry?
Fantastic question, KSV, right? Absolutely great. I'll give you the historical reason, not that I'm supportive of that. I'm going to give the historical reason. If you take a look into the engineering space, the space in which we are actually really talking about, which used to be heavily mechanical and electrical or electronics driven, right? And sometimes most of the girls would have actually preferred to be in a little different kind of a job 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Because the story has to start 30 years ago for them to be employable now, right? So there is a history as to why the overall landscape was different from the total number of women joining the engineering in these disciplines that had the opportunities for them to grow. What has actually now happened is the R&D is not just happening in the mechanical space or the electrical space, but tons of engineering R&D is happening in the software space. And a lot of women, girls are very keen on that, right? They love that job. So if you take a look historically, right, the percentage of population could be a little lower, but now take a look into how many women are joining the software who wants to eventually get into some kind of an ER&D in the software space. The population is really growing to 30-35%. So it's a matter of a few more years that the percentage will definitely pick up. So that's a history. So forget about that one. But that doesn't mean that as an industry veteran and a leader,
Correct.
we should not do anything and just say that, okay, let time pass by and then it will solve.
Let the next generation take care. Let the next generation take care.
Exactly. Time is not the cure here, but we need to do that part. What as the industry leaders that we can actually do is start engaging the students, not after joining the college, but before they take the decision itself.
Excellent.
Most of the girl students typically try to take the decision in their class 9, 10. By 10, they would have actually decided in which stream that they want to actually go, right? Either it could be arts, it could be psychology, it could be literature, it could be medicine, medical, or it could be engineering. In engineering, whether it's a software or computer, electrical or civil, that's a separate area. But if we are in a position to actually talk to these girls who are in girl students who are in class 9, class 10, to talk about how the engineering can actually really disrupt the world. And don't talk about there is a job for you that will pay you like 50,000 rupees as soon as you graduate. That's only superficial, and that's very momentary, right? Who knows, tomorrow that entry-level job could be 1 lakh per month, or it could be 10,000. I don't control. It's all a lot of macroeconomic situations that actually determine what the salary will be. But if you're in a position to say that you are going to disrupt the mankind, how we live, how we will be comfortable, and only these engineers are in a position to actually in a position to do that. Demonstrate, like you are in an engineering company, like the space that we are talking about, and you are in the aerospace. Talk about the cool technology that is being designed and developed, wherein people are able to travel, right?
And also create, Prakash, in my opinion, good women role models.
Exactly. Create some competitions for them, create a curriculum for them, create some hackathons for them. Have those engineers come, have those students come to our offices over a Saturday, for example. Just take them a tour, talk about the work that is happening. And
excellent.
American companies are doing fantastic in India. The GCCs are doing incredible job, and they have become the heart of the parent organizations, right? For most of the companies, right? And that's their heartbeat. And show all these young budding students how they can really disrupt. And that's what really excites this younger generation. They're not really looking for salary. They're not really saying that I need a job. They're looking for can I make an impact in the society? Can I do something disruptive? And if you're in a position to just show the work that's happening and how they can contribute, we can.
Fantastic. I agree with you. Again, you inspired me to do so. I'm going to reverse ask you as an AMCHAM chief also, if we can advise exactly the point what you mentioned, our fellow GCC leaders, at least twice a year or twice a semester, perhaps once in quarter, etc. Just visit some of the class 9, class 10 young girls and boys, encourage them, at least remove the myth and fear that engineering is only for men. Encourage them. That's a great service. I know, Prakash, we can continue speaking that lot of topic, but I would ask you just one last question. Interesting on your profile. Your profile, you started as an engineer. Despite all successes in your professional career, your heart remains as an engineer. Didn't shift to being a manager and wanting to shift. So, what is the secret behind? What is that motivation behind for you to leverage and leave your engineering mindset always intact with you? Many people in my generation, at least, at earliest opportunity, shifted to managerial. So, what is the advice? Why should an engineer remain an engineer and not necessarily turn into manager?
So, by the way, KSV, left eye, right eye, right? So in the same way, my heart and my lifeline is actually on the engineering and the technology, but at the same time, I'm also the GCC leader on the management and as a strategist, etc. So playing a dual role. So I'm not pure, manager per se or a technologist per se, right? It's a dual role, and I love this, right? I love this dual combination. I think one of the things is that probably it's also a cultural context as to why people would like to become into the management. They think that by being called a manager, they have a little more respect in the society. People will say that, okay, this guy got promoted, right? So it's actually a cultural, and this culture is actually rapidly changing in Indian context as well, right? You could be a great engineer, but need not be called as a manager. People are now realizing that just being an engineer is also a pretty cool thing, just like being on the manager. Second thing is our companies also operating out of India has to promote this kind of a culture. If they say that, you know what, probably engineers would be paid as high or maybe more than managers, then automatically people will get the message. Right?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I remember in one of the enterprise software engineering company, so both of them joined in the same college, same section, same discipline. Both of them joined as a software engineer. After 8 years, 10 years work, the one engineer chose to be a manager. And once he became the manager, he was given a cubicle, the engineer remained outside. He says, hey, this is not way I would love to do it. So he also shifted to manager to just get that cubicle. I agree with you. Bring parity, perhaps show affirmative action, etc. This is fantastic, fascinating conversation with you, Prakash. And as I said, there's lots to learn. Perhaps this call enabled us to perfect my thinking. And I commit to what I've said to you, and I request you also be, as has been in the past, be the journey in the ecosystem to bring the change. Together we win. Together we create India as an innovation destination. Together we get more GCCs, the current 10-11% to perhaps 25-30% into the innovative quadrant, and let's do it together. So my friends, ladies and gentlemen, that was an invigorating talk with the ecosystem player, industry-friendly man, and GCC Sectoral Committee Chair, Prakash Bodla, who has given his insight as to how we can all do it together to build India as an innovation ecosystem destination for the world. Together we do. That's a mantra Prakash has talked about. Let's do it. Here is an opportunity for you to do it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot, KSV. Thanks, nasscom.